Erich von Daniken, a Swiss author, is often referred to as one of the most successful non-fiction writers of our time. Daniken has written over 55 books on his theory of extraterrestrial creatures visiting Earth in early human culture. He claims there is definitely other life out there and that they have visited Earth and the activities are responsible for various aspects of the ancient past that remain a mystery to us in the present. What does he and others believe? The basics of his hypothesis, which he shares with many others on this topic, are: one or more alien races visited Earth in the distant past and interacted with early humans. Aliens assisted human evolution through genetic engineering and/or crossbreeding. Aliens helped humans develop culture, ethics, technology, rudimentary science. Aliens were perceived as supernatural beings or gods, laying down the foundation for various religions. And evidence of ancient astronauts can be found in art, writing, oral traditions, and physical monuments. What is the general response to his ideas? As one could imagine, von Daniken has many critics of his work, partly due to his radical hypothesis of extraterrestrial interaction with life on Earth, but he is also criticized for the lack of an academic approach to his writings, his personal character, and making false claims of evidence to support his research, particularly in his first book, Chariots of the Gods. Despite constant criticism from the scientific community, von Daniken's books are widely popular with people all over the world. What follows is the presentation of examples of the so-called evidence used to support von Daniken's hypothesis, and a review of some of the criticism leveled against him, as well as the reasons why some people might support such an idea. I then pose the question of what is a reasonable response to the basics of the hypothesis, and what I think the answer to the question could be. Examples of his evidence. Whether von Daniken's claims are true or false, he has developed an extensive collection of hypotheses of extraterrestrial influence on human culture and evolution. His most popular hypotheses include the theories about the Nazca ground drawings and the Ramayana. The Nazca ground drawings have been described as so numerous as to stagger the imagination. The drawings are so enormous that one could only depict the image from the air. The drawings display incredible accuracy of straight lines continuing for miles through coarse terrain and mountains. Although no conventional image is portrayed, the lines do not deviate an inch. Von Daniken claims the Nazca ground drawings are evidence of extraterrestrial alien spaceship landing strips. The Ramayana is a Hindu mythology that describes extravagant gods that traveled in flying vehicles or chariots referred to as Vimanas. Erich von Daniken's theory behind the Ramayana is simple. The extravagant gods were extraterrestrial creatures from out of space that were visiting Earth. In his earlier work, Erich wrote, for example, how did the chronicler of the Mahabharata, a philosophical epic narrative of the Kurukshetra war, know that a weapon capable of punishing a country with a 12 years drought could exist, and powerful enough to kill the unborn in the mother's womb? So, the argument is that if we don't know how humans achieve these mammoth tasks, then aliens could explain it. For mythology example, if the description sounds like a being in a spacecraft, then it probably is. In carving example, if it looks like a spaceship, then it probably is one. His critics and what they say. Critics attack von Daniken for his lack of evidence and provision of suspicious evidence to back his theories. Carl Sagan was an American astronomer, astrophysicist, cosmologist, and promoter of the search for extraterrestrial life, was one of von Daniken's biggest critics. Sagan openly criticized von Daniken for his sloppy thinking and how his writings are riddled with logical and factual errors. An example of this is in his first two sentences of Chapter 1 in Chariots of the Gods. Is it conceivable that we world citizens of the 20th century are not the only living beings of our kind in the cosmos? Because there is no homunculus from another star on display in a museum for us to visit, The answer, our Earth is the only star with human beings, still seems legitimate and convincing. His critics are nearly unanimous in accusing him of misrepresenting or failing to understand even the rudiments of geology, mythology, psychology, chemistry, astronomy, and physics. Von Daniken, particularly in his early work, failed to reference properly or at all authors and hypothesizers, even when making the same claims using similar or identical evidence. His Chariots of the Gods, Unsolved Mysteries of the Past, for example, is a sweeping attack on the memories and abilities of ancient peoples. He begins with the ancient astronaut assumption and then forces all data to fit the idea, for example, the spaceships in Ramayana. In Erich Von Daniken's earlier years, he was convicted of embezzlement, fraud, and forgery. It is noted that the legal systems examining psychiatrists said he displayed a tendency to lie, and that an account-appointed psychiatrist described him as a liar and a criminal psychopath. Von Daniken's response to his critics. Von Daniken has admitted to false claims of evidence in the past, reasoning that without providing some sort of exaggerated evidence, no one would believe him. In saying this, over time, Von Daniken developed a higher credibility, and today is more careful, but he remains rejected by the scientific community. In a paper that was read at the Fifth World Conference of the Ancient Astronaut Society in Chicago, the point was highlighted that evidence is crucial. Even if we accept the claim that all these things originated from terrestrial beings, we would be hard-pressed to explain the disappearance of such superior civilizations. We have found no documentary evidence, or indeed evidence of any kind, to support a terrestrial origin for such technological achievements. What makes the idea so attractive? John Amundra from the Committee of Skeptical Inquiry states, "The entire Von Daniken affair, even much of the UFO interest associated with it, is, I think, very much like these movements. Only hindsight will give good perspective on this point in American history, but the 'we are not alone' attitude has become an important element of our culture's religious cosmology. A frustration with sciences not having delivered all that is promised, a distaste for the specialization of scientific research, and a continuing need to believe in an intelligence beyond our own are the main characteristics of this anti-science mysticism. It does not take much imagination to see that science has been for many years in our culture the new religion, with its white-frocked priests talking in strange tongue about a universe we couldn't even understand. Presenting my own ideas. It is interesting when researching Von Daniken and other popular astronaut hypotheses to note that critics attack them for their lack of evidence. At the same time, a large percentage of people in the world believe in God or higher beings without being questioned for proof or evidence behind their religions. Not being a religious person myself, I believe this is a fair point. If you think about the comparison, both can be considered a faith-based belief, and the object of faith involves physical beings. The difference is that religious beliefs have been rarely questioned antagonistically until recently, think Richard Dawkins, because it is considered to be a very personal topic and the Church is a powerful institution. I believe a reason why Von Daniken's hypotheses are often questioned and criticized is because trying to comprehend a greater source of life in the universe and what that could mean for human life on Earth is difficult and perhaps scary for some. While Sagan heavily criticized Von Daniken's work, it seems he and other critics have failed to allow Von Daniken all forms of evidence that science is free to use, such as theoretical, logical, mathematical, hypothetical, deductive, statistical, probable, and documentary. The ancient astronaut theorists' use of many of these kinds of proof is no less valid than the science's use of them. Much of what we consider today to be scientific ideas have actually not been proven. For instance, we don't know exactly how life on Earth originated. It is a mystery. Matter organizing itself into life is a mysterious event to explain. As Paul Davies, a physicist and writer, says, how can a collection of chemicals form themselves into a living thing without any interference from outside? Further, science has yet to explain how we became beings of higher intelligence. Should we, in light of this, remain open to all possibilities, including von Daniken's ideas? I personally believe that von Daniken's central ideas in his hypothesis of extraterrestrial influence on early human culture is not as radical as most people think. Although von Daniken lacks evidence to support his hypothesis, there is little to no evidence that strongly suggests these mysteries of the past are due to one thing, such as early human civilization. I understand that the concept is hard to comprehend, that there may be another life source out there in space that is more intelligent, more advanced than that of our own. However, it does not mean that the hypothesis such as von Daniken's should be rejected outright by science. If human beings live on Earth and survive on a planet that's part of the Milky Way galaxy, then why couldn't there be extraterrestrial creatures out there, living in their own planet and part of a whole another galaxy? After all, the United States Air Force spent 22 years investigating UFOs, and the US government for a time partially funded the SETI Institute, searching for extraterrestrial intelligences, and still continue its work today. But I recognize that it is one thing to say that there is a chance that life exists elsewhere, and another to propose that these beings visited and helped build the pyramids. When we have absolute knowledge of there having been no evolution elsewhere in the universe, and when we have absolute knowledge regarding our own past and how humans developed, we perhaps should recognize the possibility that technologically advanced civilizations may have arisen elsewhere, and that they may have visited us in the remote past. The merits of the ancient astronaut hypothesis perhaps should continue to be weighed against available evidence with rigorous scientific scrutiny.